Hello and welcome to Nbyula Talks. Before we begin, we have a few updates and reminders for you. We would love to have you be part of our Nbyula community. And you can do so by logging on to www.nbyula.com, where you can join communities related to your area of interest, register for upcoming Nbyula Talks, book one-to-one skylifts, and view other upcoming events. You can also take this opportunity to connect with fellow learners or the speaker by sending a connection request. When you connect with the speaker, you will be able to contact them directly, as well as receive updates about their upcoming talks. Kindly note that during this session, you will not be able to switch on your camera or unmute your mic. To ask questions during the talk, go to the audience chat, type your question, and select Post Your Question. If your question has not been answered during the talk, you will be notified once it's been answered, or if your question has not been answered during the talk, you can go to www.nbyula.com and spin a quest, and your questions will be answered. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this talk broadens your horizons and takes you to new learning heights.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Nbyula Talk. I am Sadhna, part of the Nbyula editorial and engagement team and your compere for the day. It's great to have you all lovely people join us this evening in this super insightful and interesting conversation. To start with, let me give you all a brief introduction of what Nbyula is and how Nbyula empowers international work and study aspirants. Nbyula strives to bring about transparency, accessibility, and awareness around everything pertaining to international studies and work. We do that by connecting international study and work aspirants with experts from every related field, international students, alumni, and scholars who have been there and done that. Today, we have with us Akashdeep, who is a Commonwealth scholar and did his master's from the University of Edinburgh. Welcome to Nbyula Talk, Akashdeep. We are super grateful that you could make some time and join us today and educate our aspirants, by sharing your journey. Before we begin, would you like to give a small introduction of yourself?
Great. Hello, everyone. And it's really nice to, come and speak here and share maybe a part of my journey with all of you and probably try and inspire some of you to go ahead and take up these scholarships. If I have to introduce myself, let's keep this really short because we'd rather probably talk about the major aspects with more time. So yeah, I am Akashdeep Dey. I did a master's degree in physics in India first from the University of Calcutta. And then I wanted to shift over to the field of sustainable energy and climate change because I felt it was really important to, go ahead and work in a field of this sort, which is of immediate requirement for the world. And I applied in the UK because the UK had some really good energy programs, which we will probably discuss once we go ahead in the talk. And I received admissions from places like Edinburgh, from University College London, and so on. And I was really fortunate enough to have been awarded the Commonwealth Scholarship, which is why I could take up my position at the University of Edinburgh. And after doing my master's, after completing it, I have applied for a PhD now. And I look forward to, starting my PhD journey really soon. So yeah, that's a short introduction of me. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, Akashdeep. That's like a really interesting and impressive profile. And I'm sure the audience are really, curious to know everything you have to offer for them. So without further ado, let's start the session. And I want to let all the audience know that if you all have any questions during the session, please drop your questions in the comment box or the chat box. So firstly, Akash, could you give us a brief introduction of the Commonwealth Scholarship?
Yes. So the Commonwealth Scholarship is awarded by the British government. To be more precise, it used to be called the FCDO, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, which awards a scholarship to citizens of developing countries only. Sorry, not developing countries, of Commonwealth countries only. I am part of a developing country, so that's why the term keeps coming back over and over again. So yeah, it's for citizens of Commonwealth countries only, and this scholarship sort of covers all kinds of expenses of a student in the UK. So it includes university fees, a monthly stipend to live there, uh, to live there quite well. It's not the bare minimum, and it also covers, airfares, visa costs, and any other miscellaneous things that you can think of. It in fact also covers a warm clothing allowance, as they call it. So they basically cover everything that a student might need when they are there in the UK, in order to finish their degree program. So yeah, this is the Commonwealth Scholarship awarded from the British government. There is an involvement of the Ministry of Education here in India as well, but uh, it's basically in one line a scholarship that covers all costs of a student in the UK.
That's cool. And what are the selection criteria for the scholarship?
Okay, so the first and foremost thing that I would like to tell people when they're thinking about the Commonwealth Scholarship is to visit the website of the Commonwealth Master Scholarship and read everything quite well. Okay, the selection criteria, as anyone could guess, is generally written as academic excellence, uh, and things like, okay, so it's academic excellence and the quality of the program that the student is going for, the study plan that the student has, and it also has to deal with, the potential impact that the student can have in their home country once they're done with this educational degree. So
Mhm,
these are the broad selection criteria for the scholarship. And another line that I'd like to add here is there are no hidden selection criteria. So people keep
mhm,
looking for things like, you don't get a Commonwealth scholarship unless you have a paper published in your field. This is wrong. I've heard this before I got the Commonwealth scholarship. I got the Commonwealth scholarship without having a publication myself, so I can
mhm,
vouch for the fact that you don't need things like a publication. Your profile has to be good. How good? There is no definition of a good profile. So if you can convince the selection panel that yes, you are good enough and you are trying to do impactful work, I think that helps.
mhm, mhm. And what is the application process for the scholarship? Is there something in specific that a student has to keep in mind while applying?
Right. Uh, a number of things actually. Let's probably we'll take a little more time with this, with questions of this kind. So,
Mhm.
first of all, before I go ahead and answer this, uh, I am not aware whether we have only audience from India or do we have audience from multiple countries. Can you
We have
clarify that?
audience from multiple countries.
Okay, great. Right. So I'll not keep it, India specific, and I'll make it more generalized in that case. So
Mhm,
uh, the the application procedure is pretty broad,
mhm,
as anybody would imagine. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'd have to write 6 or 7 essays, which are
mhm,
anywhere between 250 to 500 words. And these
mhm,
essays sort of deal with, they are not essays in the sense that you have to write about something else. It's basically writing about yourself, your aims, what kind of work you want to do, and why you think that you are, you know, why you think that you can get this particular scholarship. So it's about 7 essays about yourself, about your future, about your aspirations, that is required in the application procedure. That is it, and that is all. There is nothing
mhm,
more or nothing less that one needs to do. Okay, as I keep repeating this statement, there is no hidden selection criteria, there is no hidden formula to achieve these scholarships. Okay, now there are things that students need to keep in mind while going ahead with this application. The first thing is, uh, let's say that I'm applying for a particular scholarship. I first need to understand, why would anybody want to invest this lump sum amount of money on me studying a 1 year degree? Okay. I think this is the first and key question that any student would need to answer to themselves, because they would have to answer something similar in the application procedure. Okay. So, what am I trying to do? Now, a student can go forward to do a master's degree in the UK, or any country in the world for that matter, uh, for various kinds of things. I could want to do a master's degree because I want to be an academic, do research in that particular field. I could want to do a master's degree because I want to get a really high paying job. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay. So sometimes we try to, idealize things like we should go ahead and and think about the world, do something for the world, blah blah blah. Yes, we definitely should. I am trying to. A lot of people are trying to, but there is also nothing wrong with just doing a degree to get a job, and a lot of people do that, either directly or maybe they don't say it out loud, but then they do so. So
I
the
mean,
point
you
is,
to do anything for the world, you'll first have to be employed and be able to, fend for yourself. So,
I cannot agree more. Yes.
yeah.
So the thing is, however, if somebody is doing a degree for the purpose of just getting a good job, why would a government of a particular country want to invest a lot of money on that particular candidate? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to think about the impacts of your particular study program. What is it that you're giving back? Because any investment looks for something that comes back. In this case, to the society, to the home country of that particular candidate, or wherever else, to the world, to the field of study, somewhere. But you've got to think about having a contribution somehow in the world. I could make this more specific, but I will not. I'll keep it at this level. Uh,
Mhm.
the next thing is, now, okay, it's great to want to have an impact, but then, so in this application procedure, the student has to, I will not say what the essay topics are because I don't think that's fair, but I'll sort of try and give an idea of what the essays could be like. So they could ask you, where do you see yourself in the next, say, 10 years, and where do you see yourself in a longer term perspective? So the point is, I think this is my thinking. These scholarships look for people who have a vision and who have a very, a clear uh, aspiration that I want to reach there. Okay, for me, I want to be a renewable energy scientist. So it was really clear in my application procedure that I wanted to go ahead after completing my master's degree, go do research in renewable energy in a particular aspect of renewable energy, which I had written over there. So this serves to show that it's not that I want to go and get a foreign degree and that's it. I want to get this foreign degree for a particular purpose, for a particular aspiration.
Mhm.
Number one. So now, when I wrote my own application and I said that I want to work in this area of renewable energy, I was not an expert in renewable energy. I still am not. That's a different story. But I was not an expert already then. So it's not expected that I will be able to, detail out a research plan like a professor would or
Mhm.
a PhD student would.
Mhm.
That is not expected. At the same time, if I just say I want to work in renewable energy and get done with it, well, millions would want to do that as well.
Mhm.
So you need to, a candidate needs to find the balance between stating out their aspirations, and it's all right to not know because we are going to study to know. If I knew everything, I wouldn't go and do the degree, right? So that is one of these things. The other thing is, you a candidate will frequently come across this question as in what could be your impact in your own country once you go back after completing this particular degree. So now this is a very tricky question because
Mhm.
it sounds really, really normal because, well, everybody would want to have some impact somewhere. But the point is, I think, again, it's my own thinking that one needs to be a little specific about which area I want to have the impact on and how I would want to have the impact on. Whether it's possible or not is a different thing altogether. But
Mhm.
as I said, I need to have an aspiration and a goal. The other
Mhm.
part of it is, uh, okay, I want to change the renewable energy scene, suppose in India in future, right? But if I say that after completing this particular degree, I will go back and work in my country, and within 2 years, India is going to have only renewables, and everything is going to be fine. That doesn't sound practical because a lot of people are working in it, and it's important to also realize that for one individual to change the entire industry is probably, just expecting too much from your own self in a short term of 2 to 3 years. So you have got to be aspirational, but the student also has to be realistic in trying to detail out what kind of impact I could actually have. Okay. The other thing is, now, in the beginning, I said that the students need to think about why somebody would, invest on me because I want to go and study a master's program. Then a question which would naturally follow is, uh, so if somebody wants to study a degree like renewable energy or something else that has really good impact like water conservation, is it only these degrees that get a Commonwealth scholarship? What about the other things like physics or chemistry, which could have a very good field contribution, but not essentially, something that's useful for the society in another 5 years? Could be, but may not be. What about fields like data analysis, which are generally looked upon as subjects that get you a job, but maybe not do a lot beyond that? Okay. So, should these people not think about a Commonwealth scholarship? Absolutely not. Everyone can, provided you're using your particular field to have some kind of an impact, as I just said, right? So, suppose somebody wants to. So, I came across a junior who had, discussed a lot with me regarding his own applications and scholarships. And in fact, now he is a Shivling scholar, not a Commonwealth, but these are really similar scholarships. So he wanted to study data analysis, and he also wanted to have an impact in the water conservation domain. Okay, so his point was, I want to go ahead and study data analytics. And then my direct question was, why would somebody sponsor your data analytics course? So can you have an impact elsewhere using your data analytics? And he was like, yes, I can conserve water. So the point is, it's all right to want to study anything, but where does that study lead to? And what impact does it have on the world? So any degree program is fine, any kind of subject is fine, as long as you're able to understand why you want to study the subject and how you can carry it forward to have some kind of contribution. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, those were some really insightful points. And there's always a lot of info lying around on the internet. Like, somebody says you'll have to, like, exaggerate things. You've got to have to be boisterous. You'll have to do X, Y, Z to stand out. But only when we hear from somebody who's already done it or somebody who's been through it will we be able to get all these insider insights. Like you were able to say that, I did not have a paper published, but still I got it. So which is why we keep telling, aspirants in Nebula as well, that, it's always good when you get insights from somebody who has done something, because they know what's the process, they've been through it. So coming back to questions, what benefits?
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So the fact that I said I didn't have a publication when I went ahead and got the Commonwealth scholarship, that could be an exception as well. That doesn't give the whole story. I don't think leaving out one or two of my batchmates in the Commonwealth scholarship, the people that were there in my year, leaving out one or two people, most others did not have a publication. So, so what I would generally tell people who are trying to apply for these scholarships is, the first and foremost thing is to be honest with your application. Okay, you don't have to sound boisterous. In fact, if somebody tries to sound boisterous and say that I have achieved everything in the world and I'm going to create a second earth after my degree, somewhere it shows that you're not being very honest. Okay, the people who read, so nowadays when I read somebody's writing of this sort, who has made things up, I sort of get an idea that this doesn't seem very honest. And I am somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in this domain. I've only come into this Commonwealth Scholarship alumni for the last 2 years or 1 year, a little more than a year or 2 years. So somebody who has been in the selection panel for the last, say, 30 years, who has been reading application essays of this sort, uh, it's not very easy to, get across to them and explain to them, or rather make an image of yourself which you're not. It's not always possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's difficult to put a facade which is not true. So the
Yeah.
best thing while doing an application is to be absolutely honest with your aspirations, honest with your aspirations, because a lot of people do tend to, try and show that I'll have an impact everywhere in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it's
Yeah.
it's important to be
True.
honest. The second
Yeah.
thing is, it's important to be honest with my own skills.
Mm-hmm.
So in my application, I had very freely written that one of the reasons why I want to do this degree is my past degree gives me so and so skills, but in
Mm-hmm.
order to be an energy scientist, I need this sort of a skill set, and I think these remaining four things are sort of the stuff that I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all right to say that I don't know a certain thing. I have written that in my application and I've gotten through. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to have a good profile, yes. I need to be
Mm-hmm.
honest as well, and I need to go somewhere with my degree. So it's all right to
Yeah.
not know, because only then will you do a degree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, that's
Next
completely
question.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. I mean, you did mention what all the things Commonwealth Scholarship covers, but in general, standing out from other scholarships, what are the benefits Commonwealth scholars receive?
Okay. Uh, it's difficult to compare with other scholarships because,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I do know a number of Chevening scholars
Mm-hmm.
in the UK who were my classmates or who were my juniors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they had a very similar scholarship program like ours. In fact, Chevening and Commonwealth are given by the same
Mm-hmm.
department of the UK government. So they have
Mm-hmm.
they probably have similar selection criteria, and they also give
Mm-hmm.
similar kinds of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the benefits of getting a Commonwealth scholarship? Your education is free in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you get paid in order to study,
Mm-hmm.
which I used to think was a responsibility on my shoulders, because people get paid to deliver work. I was
Yeah.
getting paid just to go to school and study, to the School of
Yeah.
Engineering, not school, just to go to the university, study, and finish my assignments. So
Mm-hmm.
that brings in some responsibility. Uh, a major benefit is that, as I said, the stipend is quite good, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not the bare minimum. So you
Mm-hmm.
get to, enjoy sort of a job kind of a life in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, people who do a job enjoy a bigger salary, but then Commonwealth
Mm-hmm.
scholars do get a good enough stipend to have a comfortable life in the UK and do what they want to do while they are studying. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. The other thing is, the other benefit is it looks good on your CV.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that, and I guess everybody knows that by now.
Yeah.
It looks good on your CV. Besides that, if I think all of these major scholarship programs are very similar. So
Mm-hmm.
there aren't a lot of differences between, say, the Commonwealth and the Chevening. Although I
Mm-hmm.
have seen that Chevening deals more on the professional life part of it. So people who want to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and be data analysts, want to contribute to the industry. The
Mm-hmm.
Commonwealth, on the other hand, is slightly more academic. I fear
Mm-hmm.
generalizing it, so I wouldn't say it's completely academic, but it's slightly more academic. Looks at research and your impacts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it also gives scholarships to people going into the industry as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as I said, they're similar, but they have only slight differences.
Mm-hmm. And do they have any rules that you cannot work more than XYZ hours if you're a Commonwealth scholar?
Um, I think these are things which, which do change sometimes. So it would be wrong
Mm-hmm.
for me to give a particular rule and say that this is it, because they might have changed it in the 2 years that
Mm-hmm.
I have completed my scholarship. But then they do have
Mm-hmm.
certain rules. One
Mm-hmm.
of those is, and I think it's again well known, that you have to come back to your home country after completing your education in the
Mm-hmm.
UK. So people who want to do a PhD only can stay back. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody who wants to get into an educational program after that are allowed
Mm-hmm.
to stay back in the UK, if provided they are joining a degree course. But otherwise, you
Mm-hmm.
have to return to your home country. A person cannot, apply for a job and stay back in the UK after completing the degree,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is fair, because
Mm-hmm.
during the application process, we say about, I'll do
Yeah.
this in my home country and that in my home country. So if you don't come back, how are you supposed to do it? Doing a
Yeah.
PhD is a different story, because you can eventually do it later.
Yeah.
Uh, the next thing is, okay, before before we go ahead, the other thing
Mm-hmm.
is, a lot of people might think that you would have to say in your application that you would definitely come back to your home country. What I wrote
Mm-hmm.
in my application is that I will come back to my home country, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
my aspiration is to do a PhD after the master's degree. So
Mhm.
I intend to join a PhD in the UK after I complete my MSc. And if
Mhm.
I happen to get a funded PhD program immediately after completing my MSc, I would
Mhm.
join in,
Mhm.
and I still got the scholarship. So it's all
Mhm.
right to say that you want to do a PhD, provided you know what is allowed and what is not.
Mhm.
Okay. The next thing is, I think that we are not allowed to do part-time job in the UK since we are Commonwealth
Mhm.
scholars already. I had read
Mhm.
it somewhere. I don't know if they have changed this rule. So again, I fear generalization. I'll not say this has to be done for scholars in future, but we
Mhm.
were generally not supposed to work. In general,
Mhm.
students are allowed 20 hours of work in a week,
Mhm.
but not for us, which again is fair because we were getting paid quite some money.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
you did
yeah,
mention
that's it.
that, even they even pay for your fun. So yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
True. So
exactly.
yeah, coming back to the next question, what is life like in the UK for an expat?
Okay, very interesting question. Okay, in one word, I'd say it was amazing. But
Mhm.
let's get into the details. So, uh, the first thing is the thing about going to a new country, studying this new degree course. That that amazing feeling stays for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where
Mhm.
you're so happy with everything around you, and you have landed up
Mhm.
in the place where you wanted to.
Mhm.
At the same time, at least for me, as somebody who's gone to the UK from India, I
Mhm.
was not used to doing a lot of stuff here that I had to do there. So
Mhm.
balancing the study program
Like.
together with yeah, that's what I'm saying. So balancing the
Mhm.
study program with things like cooking and washing
Mhm.
clothes and doing everything else that you have to in order to get the household running uh,
Mhm.
could be a little difficult in the beginning. It was for me because
Mhm.
uh, when I thought I would be doing an assignment after I finished cooking, I
Mhm.
noticed that cooking took away 3 hours of my time, and then I didn't have much time to do the assignment afterwards. So these are little
Mhm.
things from our personal experiences, which are not so professional, but these are very important on a day-to-day life
Mhm.
while staying and studying there.
Mhm.
So doing groceries and stuff like that. So there's a fun thing that goes around amongst students who study abroad is that they get really old soon because they start enjoying doing their groceries. Uh, I think one of the reasons they feel that way is that you're studying these degree programs in the UK are really heavy and hectic because
Mhm.
master's degree programs, as you know, are 1 year programs, and
Mhm.
uh, in most other countries it's 1.5 or 2 years. So
Mhm.
getting a master's degree in a year is quite heavy. Going out to do groceries is the time when you're not, spending a lot of time studying and doing assignments, but walking to the grocery store in a beautiful city. So that's how people start enjoying it. Number one. The other thing is the system of education, and I think this is really important. The system of education was quite different in the UK as compared to my previous degrees in India. And I feel that I am in a position to compare slightly because I have done a master's degree here and a
Mhm.
master's degree in the UK.
Mhm.
I don't know if Europeans would find the degree program a lot different, but for people like us, for Indians or South Asians in general,
Mhm.
there is a difference. So, what are these differences? The first is uh, in a degree in the UK, we don't just study for an examination.
Mhm.
So we are not just expected to learn everything that's taught in class and get done with an exam. Yes, we do
Mhm.
have exams, but those probably were 40% or 50% of the scores that we had to or of the credits that we had to get in order to
Mhm.
complete the degree.
Mhm.
This how much is the examination bit varies from degree program to degree program, so there is nothing generalized. Some programs will
Mhm.
have an all assignment based
Mhm.
education, whereas we had a mix of assignments and exams. Now,
Mhm.
these assignments were very different in that they were, for my program at least, I did
Mhm.
sustainable energy systems at the University of Edinburgh, if that was not clear already. So,
Mhm.
in my program, I had a lot of research based work to do. So,
Mhm.
on one fine Wednesday, a professor would come and say, on Friday, all of you have to come and present something about your country's energy scenario. Now, the thing is, to research India's or the particular country that you have chosen, to research a particular country's energy scenario, make a poster on it or make a presentation on it, and give it to an entire class of 50 people with two lecturers or professors within a matter of one day is not something we were very much used to here.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh, we gain these skills like presentations, research paper writing, working outside of the quote unquote syllabus as well. Because yes, the syllabus exists, and we are taught that, but a lot of the assignments that required us to write essays, write research papers, make presentations were outside of the immediate things taught in the class. We'd have to study, read books, research papers, newspaper articles, and get a complete picture of what has been asked in the assignment. So these things were pretty new for me, from an Indian perspective, because all I was used to doing in my master's program in India was just study what was taught. So
Yeah.
I finished this in 5 sentences, but the entire experience is quite heavy in the initial days at least, because I kept feeling that this is so different. How am I going to go ahead and complete the presentation? But it gets done. It's fine. And eventually, after completing the program, we do get a lot of skills, a lot of soft skills, which we probably didn't even think about before going there. Right?
So, hearing this from you, it seems to be like a very overwhelming experience, at least for the initial couple of weeks. So, is there help and support of some sort, like counselors and,
A lot of help. A lot of help. Well, I did not need any. Yes, it is slightly overwhelming, but as I said, it's also very enjoyable because
Yeah, I mean, it's
you know,
probably subjective
yeah,
also, like depending upon, yeah.
exactly. I was going to say that, but as I said, for me, it was really enjoyable because I knew I was working towards the completion of the degree program and doing a lot of interesting things in the process. So preparing presentations, sometimes alone, sometimes in a group. So we would be given a pre-assigned group where there are people from 5 different countries, and we'd have to get together to do a particular presentation or write a particular paper. It's interesting to exchange ideas, do stuff, and not just cram all day. But as you said, it could be overwhelming for a lot of people. It could be a little less enjoyable for a lot of people because different people have different kinds of expectations when we go ahead. Yes, there are counselors in the university who can be accessed at any point. If you want academic help, the professors, the lecturers are really, really approachable. So it's generally advisable to get an appointment, and it's really easy through email. But it's also all right to go and knock on a particular door and say, "Hello, I have these questions. Are you free right now?" And if they are, they used to discuss immediately. If they weren't free, they would call us back on so and so time. And it's all right to ask any question in those meeting sessions with professors or lecturers. So you don't need to think about, will I look stupid, will it feel like I haven't done any studies before? No, nothing of that sort. It's all right to ask any questions, and the professors themselves make you feel very, very at home when you are in these question answer sessions. And as I said, you have a lot of group assignments. So in the group assignments, just as you exchange ideas and we get to learn a lot from our peers, at the same time there is also this kind of support that's there, because we are working in a group. So the other group members are there to support and lift you up if in case you need it.
That's
Yeah.
nice. That's really nice to hear. So, moving back to some questions about you, which all universities did you apply for, and maybe a line or two about why you chose those?
Okay. uh, which universities did I apply to? Obviously the University of Edinburgh. I applied to University College London, the University of Glasgow, Newcastle University, Queen Mary University of London, probably these five. uh,
Is there a
and
limit on how many colleges you can apply for
no,
with the?
no, you can apply to probably all universities in the UK. It's fine. So why did I choose these particular programs? Basically, so one of the first things that we need to do while aspiring to study abroad is to go ahead and research the degree program, and understand the contents, and sort of prepare yourself to think, is this the degree program that I want to do? So it's important to be a little clear about what I want out of a degree program. And answering this question is also important for the Commonwealth Scholarship application, because over there we need to explain what degree we are going for and why we are going for that particular degree. Okay, we need to detail out how the degree program is, and explain how that particular degree program is well suited for me, and vice versa. How am I well suited for that particular degree program? So these are things we need to explain both to the university in the statement of purpose while applying, and also to the Commonwealth Scholarship when we say that we are going ahead and taking our degree over there, and they need to pay so much fees. Yeah. So now, uh, so I knew that I knew what I wanted to learn, and it was these 5 universities that gave me degree courses that were, tailor made towards an understanding towards the kind of research program I want to go to in future. Then I had an offer from, okay, I mentioned these 5 universities, and somehow I had an offer from all of these 5 universities. Then uh, Edinburgh and UCL are the more well known of these, although all the 5 programs were pretty good, and I had a hard time selecting the university initially. But then I landed up upon Edinburgh and University College London, and I had to choose one of these two. Now, the common perception would be to go ahead and study at the University College London, because it is slightly higher ranked as compared to Edinburgh. I think in the QS rankings, was at that time, UCL was 10 and Edinburgh was probably 17, 18. Not a huge difference, but I still went ahead and studied at Edinburgh, because I felt that the particular course at Edinburgh was more suited to me, and was more suited to, and was teaching the things that I wanted to learn more than the course at UCL. UCL course was fantastic as well, which is why I applied. But as I said, Edinburgh course felt more tailor-made for my aspirations, and I chose that. And I think I also had an easier time explaining in my Commonwealth application why I want to go to Edinburgh, because I had already chosen Edinburgh over another university, since it matched my aspirations better. So for all future students who want to go ahead and study abroad, I think the first and foremost thing that one needs to do is to research the degree programs that exist in that particular country, uh, and uh, and see which is well suited to your own aspirations. That is the first thing that needs to be done, and then and it takes quite some time. It's not 2-minute noodle. It doesn't get done in 2 days. So you need to think about which universities I could possibly go to, because a random search on the internet search engine doesn't essentially give a list of universities that exist in that particular domain. Okay. And in most cases, like in renewable energy, almost every university will by now have a degree program. In my year, I remember when I was looking through degree programs in renewable energy, at least in the top 15, 20 universities in the UK, almost leaving out 1 or 2 universities, everybody had a course in renewable energy. So it takes a certain amount of time to go through these degree programs. And yes, one can go through 15 different degree programs, but not through 500. Okay. So there is
Yeah.
a certain sense of random selection, getting to know which universities are doing good in this particular area, and then creating a short list of maybe 12 or 15 universities, and then going through these degree programs in detail to understand what is better for me. This, I think, is the first thing one needs to do. And this research also helps the students to develop their own statement of purpose while applying, because in the process of understanding what degree program is good for me, I end up discovering what I want to do. And that helps in the entire application process.
Great, great. So I think we have covered most of the questions that we had. Now let's move on to the queries in the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Priyanka has a question which says, how important is it to have a mentor on the journey to Commonwealth Scholarship?
Hmm. Very good question. Uh, I did not have a mentor, if
Mm-hmm,
that answers the question. I
mm-hmm,
came to know about the Commonwealth Scholarship from a general internet search. I didn't even
mm-hmm,
have somebody telling me that such a scholarship exists.
mm-hmm,
Uh, I did not know how to write the essays. As I said, I was just honest and wrote what my aspirations were,
mm-hmm,
and this was my only application to the Commonwealth Scholarship. So I just applied once and I
mm-hmm,
got it.
mm-hmm,
Well, because I don't know what the reasons are, but probably because I was honest, and I knew that I had a vision. There was a particular goal I was working towards, which
mm-hmm,
probably resonated with the selectors somehow.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Great.
it's good to have a mentor at times, because
Mm-hmm,
I have mentored one or two of my juniors or friends later on after getting the
mm-hmm,
scholarship myself. And
mm-hmm.
as I said, so the things that I said today in this session, uh, a lot of people would not have known things like you don't need a paper publication. So a lot of people
Yeah,
disqualify themselves thinking that I'm not worthy of it.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So it's important to understand that there is no definition of being worthy. A
yeah,
mentor can help there if a person disqualifies himself or herself. Uh,
yeah.
so I knew that only 10 people would be getting the Commonwealth Scholarship. And
Mm-hmm,
when I first thought of 10 or 12 people, whatever, and when I thought of
mm-hmm,
applying, I was like, will I get it? It's only 10, 12 people. I don't think I'm that good. But then I thought, what's the harm in applying? The worst thing that can happen is I will not get through.
no,
Uh,
exactly. As good as
Nothing
not
worse.
applying.
As worse than not applying, because then I wouldn't even know where I stand.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
So exactly. And then a mentor can help you in things like how to think about these applications. I think that is the most important thing. How
Mm-hmm,
to think about getting your degree abroad. How to think about preparing your career.
mm-hmm.
And as I said, why would they invest in you? These are
Yeah.
questions the candidate has to answer, but these are questions that somebody has to raise. If the candidate can
Mm-hmm,
raise them, excellent, they don't need a mentor. If a candidate is
mm-hmm,
unable to raise them, the mentor could help in at least giving the signposts that you need to think about this and this and this. A
mm-hmm.
mentor cannot write the student's application. The mentor cannot say the content of the application, because I
Yeah,
am myself, my teacher, my mentor cannot say what I want and cannot say why I want that. But at least they
yeah,
can ask me, why do you want to do it? If I have an answer to
yeah,
it, great. If I don't have an
yeah,
answer to it, I know that I have more work to do,
yeah.
right?
True.
So a mentor is not essential.
Mm-hmm,
Depends on how your logical thinking works. Some people need a mentor, some people don't. There is no generalized answer to this.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's a great insight. And coming to the next question, what are the other scholarships, to keep as a backup for the Commonwealth Scholarship?
Okay, very few exist. So
Mm-hmm,
it's only so there is a Commonwealth Master Scholarship,
mm-hmm,
there is a Shivning Scholarship, but the Shivning
mm-hmm,
Scholarship might not be right for people who are just coming out of the university. Because
mm-hmm,
as far as I'm aware, the Shivning needs a 2-year work experience in that particular field where you want to carry out your further education.
mm-hmm,
So if a student is coming out of the university and wants to go ahead abroad, the Shivning
mm-hmm,
is not might not be a good fit for them, because they wouldn't have 2 years of professional experience in that particular field. So the
mm-hmm,
Commonwealth Scholarship is there. There is, with respect to the UK at least, there is the common. So I got a Commonwealth Master Scholarship, but there is a Commonwealth Shared Scholarship as well, which
mm-hmm,
is shared with the universities. And
mm-hmm,
it takes quite some research to find out which university has which courses into this Commonwealth shared domain. So for Master
mm-hmm,
Scholarship, the research was a little less, because one could apply for the Commonwealth Master Scholarship doing any master's degree. But
mm-hmm,
for the shared scholarship, a student needs to see, for example, the University of Edinburgh in my year
mm-hmm,
had the shared scholarship tie up for, I think, just 3 particular degrees, and sustainable
mm-hmm,
energy was not one of those.
mm-hmm,
So I could not apply for the shared scholarship at Edinburgh, at least in that year. At
mm-hmm,
Newcastle, I could have, because Newcastle offered sustainable energy. in the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So Commonwealth Shared is another one. It's good to have a look at the British Council website because they list a number of these scholarships that exist in the UK. There is a great scholarship. There used to be a British Council scholarship for women. I'm not sure if that still is there. Uh, but I think there are a handful of about 5 or 6 or 4 scholarships and all. Besides these, there are the university scholarships that exist. Very, very few in number. Oxford and Cambridge have quite a number. Maybe so Cambridge, for example, has 500 or 600 scholarships, most of which are for PhD students, as they say, but quite a number are given to master's candidates as well. There is the Gates Scholarship at Cambridge. Similarly, Oxford has a number of other scholarships. There are Cambridge Trust scholarships, and every university will have 1 or 2 scholarships which are full scholarships, like the Commonwealth. Okay, but that's one in number. So just one person across the university will get it. Okay, it seems competitive, but the Commonwealth is similarly competitive because it's 9 or 10 candidates from a particular country.
Yeah.
From India is a more populated country, so I would tend to think 9 or 10 is a higher number as compared to other countries which have a lower population. So 9 or 10 across the UK is probably even a smaller number. But yeah, these
Yeah.
these are the
Yeah.
scholarships.
Those are, some good options. So we have a bunch of questions, but we're running out of time. So let's take the last question.
Okay.
How is the experience of Commonwealth Scholarship interview in India? Any tips for,
Yes.
approaching the panel?
From our year onwards, the interview was not there. Okay. And I don't think
So,
there is an interview anymore. So the only thing that a student needs to do is, and I should have said this earlier, I somehow missed it. For everyone who is there, if you're thinking about applying to the Commonwealth Scholarship, please remember that you need to put in 2 different applications. Okay, one is for at the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission website, that application portal. The other is for us it was the MHRD in India. Now it's probably the Minister of Education that deals with it. The name has gone ahead and changed, and I'm sure other countries will also have a nominating body from their particular country. So for us Indians, we had to apply to the MHRD and to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. The applications were similar but not exactly the same. I think we had to write some 4 or 5 essays in the MHRD portal, similar essays with different word limits. Word limits can be really annoying in foreign applications, but they are there. So similar questions with different word limits, it becomes even more difficult because you have already written a particular essay with 500 words. Now you need to bring it down to 250, which is very irritating. But please remember, if both the applications don't go in, then you're not considered. So
Oh.
there isn't an interview. There isn't an interview for Indians as of now, but there is an elaborate application procedure that is there, and one needs to complete that as well. So there are 2 different applications that have 2 different deadlines, and students need to be aware of these deadlines.
Those were some, really insightful answers for all the questions. Now that we've come to the end of the session, before we conclude, do you want to give any, quick tips and tricks or any special message to the viewers?
I think I have already given tips or tricks throughout the chat. But yeah, the only thing that I would repeat is please don't disqualify yourselves. By all means, go ahead and try, and at least so the best thing that could happen is you get the scholarship, and the worst is you at least know where you stand and how you can go ahead, and improve your own profile to get one of these scholarships. So all the best to everybody who are looking forward to studying in the UK or getting one of these well-known and highly prestigious scholarships. Uh, Try and keep in mind these things about why would people want to invest in you, where do you want to reach, how does that help your home country, how does that help the society in general. It could be you could help a village, a neighborhood, or the entire world, but it's important to have an idea of what the impact could be. Any impact is impact. So if one keeps these in mind, I think it becomes a lot easier. And these are generalized things. I cannot say specific things because every person's profile is different, every person's aspirations are different. So things would change from application to application. and it's important for the candidate to have an idea about how you would go ahead and do your application, and be yourself in your application, because your application represents you. You don't go there and speak, your application speaks for you. So just be yourself, be your best, and I think the rest will be taken care of. That's it. Somebody has asked over here, are Commonwealth scholars allowed to stay back in the UK to work after completion of the degree? No, we are not. I said this earlier. You have to come back to your home country for at least a year or two, and then one can go back. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you are allowed to stay back if you are doing a PhD. That's it.
Yeah. So thanks, Akash. Your everything you spoke about was like really, really insightful, and I had a very amazing time talking to you. And I'm very sure everybody who attended the session also have so much to take back home and think about. And you truly are an inspiration. The fact that you heard back from all the universities you applied to, and everything you are doing. It's really very inspirational, and it was very lovely talking to you. And all the
Yeah.
audience, thank you so much for attending. And Akash, again, thank you so much for sparing your time
Yeah.
to join us on this
And thank you for
platform.
having me here. It's really good to take back the feeling that again I have some impact here in amongst these students who are going ahead and going to study in the UK or in
Definitely.
any other country. So it's good to be
Yeah.
able to have even the slightest contribution in somebody else's journey. And if I've been able to do that in today's talk, I think that would be my success as a
Yeah,
speaker today. And
definitely.
thanks a lot for having me. It was wonderful to have a conversation with you, and
Definitely.
it was wonderful to have these questions coming over and seeing that yes, people are interested in what I'm saying at least.
Yeah, totally. So, everybody, if any of your queries were not covered, if your question was not answered, you can always start to question Nebula, and those will be answered by either the mentors, experts, or somebody from the team. So, you can always get answers for any of your queries, and stay tuned for all our Nebula talks. We will have a range of topics covered. Always feel free to reach out to us if you want something that is not listed here already. So once again, thank you so much, everybody, for attending. This is me signing off.